Hello, it's Sarah Otis here with Healing Hands Holistic Therapies, and I wanted to come on today and do a reading for you. I'm actually I'm looking at myself on two screens. For some reason, many people are not seeing my go live messages on my business page, so I wanted to also do it on my personal page as well to see if anyone's seeing me. You know, I can't control what Facebook does, so today's reading is talking about the energies that are building as we are approaching the Lunar Full Moon Eclipse. That's going to occur on the Friday going into Saturday. That's the 10th going into the 11th, depending on where you are in the world. And it appears most of us will get to see it. I know those of us here in the U.S., we will see it at moonrise Friday evening. I think it's at 7:33. Is the moon will rise, the full moon. And I think it's at 7:44 Eastern Standard Time that the eclipse will begin to be visible in the United States. And I believe those over to about Asia, I think, are supposed to see the entire eclipse take place. And then those in Asia and beyond are going to see it as the moon is setting. So all of us are going to get a kind of a jolt of energy. I know many of you all are feeling it. Like I had to totally take a hiatus last week. It was just I've posted several things on my personal page. I haven't shared so much in my business page. What this lunar eclipse, this full moon, is bringing, and it's a collective. It's that final purge of the 2016 energy. And then it brings in the cycle of what comes with this eclipse cycle. So there's many things in play. There's a lot of heightened emotions. It's working with, I believe, the divine feminine, and you're getting in the divine masculine as well. And it's wanting us to truly go within ourselves, no matter how vulnerable, how raw, how touchy it is. They're wanting us to go within, because the thing is, do you want to carry and keep moving the same energy on? I, for one, don't, and I know many of you all don't either. So it's taking that most authentic, I can't even think of the word, what they're showing me, stance, and go inside and hear whatever it's calling out, whether it rehashes traumas, vulnerabilities, heartache, whatever it is. It truly wants you to dig within yourselves and literally dig into that wound. Here's your wound, your old wounding, the old vulnerability, and they're wanting you to take this hot poker and literally dig into it and split it open to the point where once you split it open, you're going to be like, oh wow, I see things differently now. And whoa, maybe I should have done things differently. But the point is, don't beat yourself up. You did the best you could with the knowledge you had at the time. So that's the important notion is, if you had known differently then, you would have done things differently. But then you wouldn't have grown and grasped and gained all these valuable lessons that propelled you into wherever you are now. So that's another thing. So a lot is coming up where people are going to be like this back and forth, tossing of energies and self-blame. And that's definitely one thing that the guides are saying, my dears, don't beat yourself up. Love yourself. Because the more you can love yourself and love whatever choices you chose to make, things will make sense. And you will begin to get the closure that you have been longing for. And things will just make sense. So it makes total sense for the first card that came out. So the card decks that I'm working with today is the Colette Baron Reed. It's the Wisdom of the Oracle. And then also I'm working with Alana Fairchild's Wild Kuan Yin Oracle. And so the first card, the meaning for it is your most dominant thought, whatever tends to be the one thing that is either constantly in your mind, is people reminding you of, or situations keep coming up that is that same theme. So the card that came out was Between Worlds. And the first thing I saw was, you know, how you see the dark and the light. So often when we have issues going on, we get stuck in between the worlds of the dark side and the light side. And the dark side is where we're critical of ourselves, we're blaming ourselves for everything that happened. And we're over here in the light, we can see what we gained and the valuable truths that came forth. But sometimes we get stuck right in the middle where we're just being constantly tugged back and forth. And what they were saying is, this is going to take a lot of strength and a lot of courage and willpower to get yourself unstuck, and to integrate both, so you're not half and half, but you have both aspects within you, and you're not being tugged between the two. And they're saying once you can integrate those two and be congruent and understand that you do have the dark side as much as you have the light side, but they're all a part of you and you can't run from them. The more you try to run from them, they'll catch up with you, and they'll catch up and they'll have all this baggage that they're going to be pulling with it. That is Spirit's way of saying, okay, you didn't think you needed to experience or go through this, so we brought you some extra little tools. Got you it's a treasure chest. Like if ever when you were a child, I see this, like you went to the doctor or the dentist and they had what was a treasure chest, and I doubt if they even have these anymore, but they did when I was growing up, and that's been 30 years ago. Where you went in and it was full of little treasures and treats and maybe candy or toys, whatever, and you just could reach in and you could grab one thing. And that's kind of what they're saying is, yes, you have brought this treasure chest of much baggage that came attached in your running away from whatever it is that you need to work on, but you don't have to go through that entire chest and go through all that baggage and unpack it. That's the thing. They don't want you to unpack the entire chest. You're to unpack one thing. And that's where it goes into whatever has the strongest trigger, the strongest punch in your gut type feeling of emotions is this weekend's dominant thought of what they want you to. Meaning the only way you can do that is you need to go almost through kind of ceremony where you go within yourself, do the processing of going back over whatever this is. And sometimes, sorry, we're clearing, my nose is itching. Sometimes people will say, whatever it is, put it in a bubble or put it in an object and then see it explode, so that it helps release some of that tension that is just mounting and building that so intensely within you. And that might help clear some of the intensity so it's not as raw and vulnerable and not so emotional. It's almost like I see like a pimple. Like last week through the energetic clearing, my face broke out, and many of you all might have had skin rashes, acne outbreaks, many different things. I had all kinds of eruptions. So it's kind of how I visualize that, is I can see as if you hold whatever your dominant thought is like a big pimple, and it is festering and it's ready to pop. And the more you try to force it to pop, it's not going to pop till you are gentle with it and nurturing and loving of that pimple, which the pimple is whatever your dominant thought is you need to work on. And when you show it care, it may just pop on its own. You don't have to force it. Because the thing is, when you force things to happen before it's time, then that's not what's best for you. So they're wanting me to read the message that was in the book about this card. So it says, between the worlds is where you must let go of the tendency to make assumptions. This is a time when you are unable to see what is ahead. Cultivate curiosity and trust the process of change and growth. You are done learning the lessons of recent experiences. In this place between what was and what will be is the state of making and unmaking, the making again. What is essential now is to admit not knowing. There is a great freedom and power to be unleashed. A mystery that is not yours to understand weaves the web of life. Within a divine matrix of consciousness greater than your own thoughts, feelings, beliefs, desires, and decisions. The seeds that were planted in the past begin to take root, but what surfaces will probably not be what you expect. When you are between the worlds, you are invited to see with the curious eye of a child, glimpsing a rainbow for the first time. Do so, and you will not be disappointed. And that's another thing with this weekend is this is bringing up inner child issues. And the inner child needs to be loved and nurtured because ultimately your child within you, the little kid, yes, holds the key. The golden key to your existence, your being, your future. And if you are still that wounded child that's protecting and not wanting to allow anyone to come in, then the little inner child's going to have a tantrum and be like, blah, 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 this is the way it's going to be. And, you know, a child does not have the rational cognitive thinking to think outside the box. Some of them do. You know, some of the kids today are quite evolved, but those of us that are adults that were born in the, you know, before the 80s, in the 70s, 60s, and backwards, we have a lot of inner child wounding. And, you know, the thing is, what they're saying right now is you're needing to work on the mother and father energy because so many of us blame our parents. It's my mom's fault or my dad's fault. It's all their fault for what's going on in my life. But the thing is, we all consciously chose our parents when we came into this body in this lifetime. We picked the parents that we have, whether you came birth from them or you came through adoption. You still consciously made a contract and chose them to be your parents because you knew they themselves, with their wounding coming together to create you, their wounding helps you because you are marrying to them as they're marrying to you. So when we tend to point the finger at our parents and be like, it's because my mom did this or my father didn't love me or they didn't hug me or they didn't nurture us as a kid, who are we really needing to do? That's our little inner child within us saying, hey, guys, can I come out and play? Can you acknowledge me today? That's who this weekend's about. So if there was something as a child that you very much enjoy doing, like maybe riding a bike, going on hikes, swimming, singing, playing guitar, playing hopscotch, going skipping, whatever it is, go do it. And if anyone's watching, who cares? Let them watch. It might provoke them to be like, wow, I enjoyed doing that. Maybe I'll do it too. And you never know, a bunch of you may be skipping around the park. Do it. Feed that inner child, because when we nurture ourselves and our inner child, the inner child helps us. And that's what we need right now, is the integration of you, your adult human body, and the inner child as one. Because when you become one once more, and you listen to what your child within you is saying, where it's wounding or where it needs some love today, sometimes whatever your dominant situation is, will just figure itself out on its own, and it will self-correct, what we say course correct. And you just need to trust. Don't force it. It will happen, and you'll get out of that stuck in between two worlds. And right now that's going to be very common because the veil is very thin right now. So you are seeing, sorry, there's a lot of clearing. You're seeing the different realities that are out there in the different realms. And to me, it's exciting because I already see this, but it's easier now for me to see because I'm not having to work so hard to see through everybody's clutter. And that's going to be something very dominant for you all. You're going to start seeing things you didn't see before. And what that's mirroring to you is to always see the beauty within everything. And the ultimate where to see it first is in yourself. So the next card is, how is your dominant thought affecting you and blocking you? And know that, yes, these cards are for the collective energy, but each one of them targets you however it affects you, and whatever your thoughts, your wounding, whatever, it'll resonate however it's meant to resonate with you. So the card of how the dominant thought of being stuck in between two worlds is affecting you is chaos and conflict. And of course, that seems to be the theme that I have talked about in gosh, I can't tell you how many readings here in the recent weeks with you all. And that's the biggest thing right now that people are experiencing is I've been posting about, with all this leading up to the eclipse and what is going on in the collective, is a purging process. And people are getting stomach troubles. That was me last week. Oh my God. Very much so purging. Some people, like I said, have the skin eruptions, have rashes, pimples break out. They may have headaches, really bad headaches and migraines people have been talking about. Sinus, tooth, facial pain, body aches. Like today, my joints are very much aching. I've had the headache. I've had a little bit of the nausea. But it's not the intensity of last week. Because one thing that's happened since last week as part of the chaos and conflict is so much of that came into the collective to be purged was, in how I saw it, was so chaotic. And it was so toxic. And it brought up a lot of old vulnerabilities and a lot of triggers. And so for anybody that suffers with post-traumatic stress or post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and many other things might have been triggered last week or even still being triggered. And what they're saying is, don't allow yourself to get caught in the trigger, meaning yes, you need to sit and wallow in it. And, if you need to cry, cry. That was another part of the purging. Many people were crying. But it's that going within and nurturing yourself. And if you need to cry for several days, cry. Whatever it is you need to do, journal, go scream, go sing, whatever. It's going to help that purging, do it. And it's going to help because the chaos and conflict isn't so much the outer circumstances of what's going on in your life. It's what's going on internally. So it goes back to this between worlds. This is the internal conflict. This is the external. And it kind of, like, if you can see in this card, the horse almost looks like it has different coloring. And there's a lot of different things coming about it. So it's almost like, and he's got, the striping and different things. So, and it's almost like parts of him is falling apart. Oh, I see now. What it is he was a zebra. He was the black and white stripes. And that's, remember I said put things in there and explode it? So he's exploding those things off him that were limiting thoughts, limiting patterns, beliefs, paradigms, whatever that old stuff that you need to be like, okay, I'm done. I am done with you. Get out. That's him exploding it. And then look at the rebirth. He's a whole different character. And who he is his true self. And that's what you will become as you can purge and let go of so many of these deep wounds and thought process and limiting patterns. The real beautiful, magnificent, radiant you, yes, you beautiful soul, will glow. You will shine, and people may notice you that have never noticed you before. All of a sudden, it's like you're on the blimp. You're on the radar. Beep, beep, beep. Your messages blow up. Your feed blows up. People are seeing you, calling you. And you're like, whoa, what happened here? Nobody was noticing me for the longest time. And now all of a sudden, everybody has been like, where have you been? And that's part of it, because when we're not showing up in our integrity and our most authentic self, we're hidden, because we're hiding from ourselves. And why? Why do we want to hide from us? But many of us are. And part of it, why we do that, is our wounds, our fears, our sense to protect, shield. And ultimately, it's the truth of who you truly are that you're running from. And that's part of what this eclipse this weekend is wanting to eclipse out of your life, is your need to run from yourself and hide who you truly are. You're the most divine, beautiful being. Period. And we each have our own unique makeup, what makes us so beautifully unique. And no one else anywhere in the world is like us. We each have a beautiful light that is here to shine, and they're wanting you to get through this conflict and chaos so that you can shine. This is to the essence of all of your all's lights within you guys. They want you all to begin to blossom and shine. And I think they want me to read you all what the book says about this. Let's see. So, for the conflict and chaos, or chaos and conflict, opposing forces come together to create a turbulent atmosphere. But consider the value of chaos that serves you well. As you become unmoored by it, scattered to the wind, you leave behind the parts of yourself that you no longer need, and disperse seeds to reinvent yourself anew. Although the conflict appears to exist externally, its essence is also internal and projected outward and causes disarray. You may find yourself at cross purposes with someone else, facing a storm you feel you can't control. Yet every storm passes and chaos leads to a reordering of things. Conflict provides a way to see more than one side of a situation. Look upon this as just a moment in time when you may need to take shelter and step away from the fray. Don't be too eager to fight. This is a time to understand rather than to be understood. And I like that. I'm going to read that last line again. This is a time to understand rather than be understood. And that can create a lot of conflict. And what it is showing is you need to understand you, instead of getting everyone outside of you out here to understand you or to feel understood. Because no one is going to understand or get who you are if you have no clue. Who are you? Who's this? Do you know who this is? I mean, that's how kind of what's going on inside. If you haven't embraced and loved and nurtured yourself and gotten to all your core wounding, it's kind of like, I know this feed says it belongs to Sarah Otis, but who is this? Who is this on my Facebook? That's kind of how it is. And it's not a point for getting anyone to understand who you are, because no one needs to understand who you are. Only you do. And once you do, it'll just make sense, because there will be no need to explain yourself to others or feel a need to be validated or vindicated or many other things. But it's no longer that anymore, because once you can fully embrace who you are and understand the dark side and the light side, the good and the bad, it's not going to matter anymore. You're not going to need to have yourself validated anymore. So let me grab a drink of water. So the final card is ways you can make peace, resolve, surrender, or let go. And when I pulled it out, 2 cards came out together. The first one was Deep Knowing, and the second one was Orphaned. And the Orphaned came out in reverse position. That means it's upside down. So the first thought that came to my mind was, and it goes into what I just said, once you can understand who you are and what your inner truth is, what's your purpose, and how you are supposed to take your light and go out and shine it into the world so that anybody else can get whatever they need from you, their own level of understanding of your essence. So it's a deep knowing inside you, because on top of the moon, like the moon cycles, it's funny that this card came out with the full moon coming up. The moons are about emotions, and sitting in the front, it almost looks like it could be the sun, but you can tell it's the moon when it's kind of in that pinkish phase. And on top of it, there is an owl. And what does an owl represent? Sorry, I'm getting a a glare. Wisdom. And so this deep knowing, the owl is saying, you already have the knowing within you. And the more that you can integrate, remember, the dark and the light, and work through the chaos and conflict, that deep knowing will just make sense. And you'll just get a sense of peace and resolve. And that's why it made, when they were telling me what each card meant, I was like, that card right there explains everything that I feel when I think about that, when I go knowing what I know within me. And the orphaned is, when you think of an orphan, it's someone who's been abandoned, who's been left behind, doesn't have anybody to love and nurture them. And what they're showing me, it's your inner child. Feels orphaned, it feels left behind, abandoned, and that inner child has whatever wounding that, like I said earlier in the reading, it's whatever you're bringing forth from your childhood, whether your parents did abandon you and you didn't feel, not necessarily put you in an orphanage and literally abandon you. Abandonment can be that you didn't feel loved, or you didn't feel heard or nurtured the way that your soul needed, so you felt your mom and dad abandon you, or whoever it was that was raising you. And also, you're abandoning, as in your adult body and mind, you're abandoning yourself. Meaning you're abandoning your truth, what it is you're here to be, whatever vessel of light that you are here to shine. You've just been like, no, stay back there. That's not what I am or who I want to be. And the more you fight it, the more of this comes in, the chaos and conflict. And the biggest thing with this weekend is they want you all, it's almost like you put up the white flag of surrender. I'm going to use a napkin. And be like, I'm waving the flag. I surrender. Please. I'm okay. I got it. That's a lot of what they're wanting you all to do, is surrender. And go in and have that conversation with yourself if you're still working on your, talking with your inner child. And just go somewhere where you can be undisturbed, be quiet. If you have children, wait till maybe you put them to bed at night. But go somewhere where you can be quiet and no one else's thoughts or energy is going to affect yours. And if it means you have to go lock yourself in the bathroom like some parents have to do, then that's what you're going to have to do. Maybe draw a bath, go soak in the bath. But go and have a conversation with yourself and just talk to your inner child as if you were talking to someone in front of you. Have an open and honest conversation. And when you sit and get quiet, get still, you'll start to hear the messages come through. And it may not be you will hear them, you may feel them, you may just know them. All of a sudden, memories may come into your mind from your childhood or somewhere through your lifetime. However spirit feels they need to get the message across to you, they will. Because they already know how you understand and relate to the energies. Because not everybody is as attuned and awakened right now. We all have the same gifts and abilities like I have. Everyone else has it. You just have to awaken it and tune into it and tap into that frequency. Like back when I was a kid on the radio, you had to turn a dial. And you might have had your radio station, but some places wherever you were, you had to dial it back just a little bit, and you almost half dial, and then all of a sudden the signal will be great. And that's what they're saying. What I'm seeing is you all are having to tune the dial of your level of sensitivity to tune into how you, and only you, can hear the messages coming from within yourself. And when you can do that, wow, it's going to blow your mind. So I do want to read what they have in the book about these cards. So the deep knowing is, intuition is the faculty that allows you to enter into a dialogue with Source. The consciousness that you are a part but cannot see with the naked eye. It's perplexing that people are taught to ignore this natural capacity to navigate their journeys, to access their inner guidance. Know that you have an ability to read between the lines and find all the truth that was missing when the story was told. This deep knowing allows you to open the door to wisdom far greater than what is available in the limitation of your human experience. You're given information that may make no sense whatsoever to the logical mind or five senses, but which is 100% correct and true. The trick is to listen. 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 And then act accordingly. You're not invited into the sacred dialogue of deep knowing. I know it's saying you're now, sorry. You're now invited into the sacred dialogue of deep knowing. So tune in and trust your vibes. They will be right. Ask and you will receive answers from unusual sources. So that's what I was saying is, when I hear it. I see it in visions. I feel it. It activates all five senses for me. But you may only be, you hear it and you feel it, but you don't see it, taste it. What's the one? I can't think. But trust, and it may be if you can't grasp it, something will come into your path. All of a sudden you may go watch TV and whatever you hear on the TV would be like, oh my God. It was that aha moment. Or you may open a book and something, whoa, jumps out at you and you're like, okay, all right. Someone may call you. They may ask you a particular question and it may be exactly what you need to hear. So no matter what, just always trust that Spirit will find a way to get the message to you. So the message with the orphaned is, We were all meant to have connections with other people within our family, society, and the larger culture. No man is an island, and it's important to recognize when being a part of, rather than separate from, is essential to your well-being. The issue at hand is the need to find where you fit. Be true to your core values and truths. Perhaps you no longer identify with a group or community the way you did before and need to find a new situation. You might be feeling a deep sense of loss or confusion. Address the need for belonging and know that you will find your place with others of like mind and spirit. It's okay to let go of pressure to fit in. Not everyone will understand you. It's time to move on. And there's that word again, understand you, that came up in the chaos and conflict. No need anymore to be understood, only understand you. So the biggest thing is the people that you maybe have grown up with, that you've known most of your life, that is in your circle, you're friends with. You know, a lot of us, are still very close. I still have my same best friend that I've had since I was probably, 3 years old. And over the years, yes, our relationships waned and flowed, and because we're growing and evolving, and that's any relationship. And that is one relationship I know I'll have probably my entire life. But there's many other relationships people are noticing right now just don't resonate anymore. The energy's not there. You just don't have the motivation to really reach out to them. You still love them from afar, but you're kind of like, I don't relate. And it's because you don't anymore. And a lot of it, as you let go of old wounding, you're not going to resonate with many people because some people are stuck in their wounds. And what people used to say to me, you're in victimhood. Well, we all get in that state when we're going through healing from traumas. But it's whether you choose to pull yourself up out of it, rise up, and shine once more and be in your light is up to you. Hold on, I gotta get a drink. But there will be times you no longer jive. Your vibes are different from your group of people. And what is very important right now, they're saying, is to find your community, your tribe, your vibe tribe, who you vibe with, you jive with. It's people who just naturally understand you without you having to wonk, 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 wonk. To explain yourself, sorry. That's all I could see. Because the people that don't vibe with us, that's all they hear is wonk, 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 or it just depends on what, if you're, it goes back to that radio station. If you're tuning in and you're stuck between stations, what do you hear? Static. And that can be mind-numbing. And that's what I tend to hear from people that don't resonate with me anymore. I hear static, or I feel inside. And that's my guides, or my inner deep knowing of my guide, my truth. And that's what they're saying, is you all are going to tune in to more of how you learn to listen to yourself and trust what's coming through. And know that only you know what's best for you. You're your best teacher. No one else can ever teach you what you already know within yourself. Your child is who's going to teach you, your inner child. So whether it's the little 3-year-old girl in you, or it could be the 8 or 10-year-old or the 12-year-old, take that inner child, take her by the hand, or him, if you're a man or girl, and say, come on. Let's go play. And go do what feeds you and nurtures your soul, your inner child. And when you do it, everything that I discuss in the reading will just take care of itself. Okay. Sounds like a big truck is pulling in my driveway. It'll just kind of just clear itself out because they will know you've gotten it. So the message that wanted to come through from the Kuan Yin deck, it says, love your body and live your dreams. I want you to experience all that life has to offer. I want you to see your dreams coming alive in the world. When you love the sacred soul animal of your body as I love you, then you will manifest all that is divinely meant for you and thrive. And I feel like there's another one. Let's see. One more. Makes sense. Be bold. If we have been taught to always settle for less than what we dream of, we may wonder if living a boldly optimistic life is unrealistic. But you are an adventurer, a divine explorer on the wild path of life. You have been created with those bold dreams in your heart, and you are meant to fulfill them with the loving encouragement and support of life. And that makes total sense. And I love the image on here. It's almost like as if this girl and a yak are just, woo, you know, skipping through the field. And that's kind of the energy of what they're saying is, it's time to be carefree. Own up to yourself. Take care of your shit. Don't project it and purge it on others. And just love yourself no matter what. The good and the bad, the dark and the light. There's no good or bad about it. It's who you are. And the quicker and the more lovingly you embrace every aspect, shade, essence of who you are, I can't wait to see you on the other side. So that's all we have to share today. So guys, be good to yourselves, love yourselves, nurture yourselves, and know that you are loved. You are very much loved. I hear you, I see you, and I love you. So if this draws to you and you want to have a personal one-on-one reading, reach out to me. If you're not on my business page, find my business page, Sarah Otis, Healing Hands Holistic Therapies, or you can reach out to me on my personal page and message me, and we'll connect, and I'll direct you to however, we need to get you to, so we can connect on getting a reading for you. Many of you all, you need to do this on your own, but you're going to need a little bit of guidance or wisdom at times. So that's where I say, come, take my hand, and let me guide you back to you. Take care. Visit me at sarahotis.com, and I'll see you next time. Much love to you all. Bye-bye.